All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday. It is Friday, November 21st, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. This is presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. Jake, the rumors have been circulating, and Sark has been addressing those rumors in a very feisty manner. I think this year, more than any year, Jake, we've seen coaches go off on the media. And I think that it has a little bit of something to do with, I think, the amount of pressure coaches are feeling more now than ever, especially with boosters and people donating to the program. The amount of money that is going into these programs to produce right now, not a 3-4 year plan, but a right now immediate result type of college football world that we live in. There's that issue, and then there's also the issue that, because I think sometimes the questions are pretty valid from the media, like LSU. Why can't we get the run game going? Why was the run game not, a factor in winning this game or in previous weeks? How come we've seen a decline in that? And they ask them every week, and every week, well, we just win. And then whenever they lose, it's I'm going to blow up because I, short fuse and all.
Yeah, you're spoiled.
Yeah, we're just spoiled. And so, I think between Dabo, Brian Kelly, and now a little bit of sprinkle in a little bit of Sark in there, I think some of it has to do with the pressure of the program and the pressure that these coaches are on. I also think sometimes the media is just dumb and they're baiting these coaches into saying something crazy so they can get their clips. Some of the coaches are falling for it. Sark, in this instant, I don't think is giving any clickbait, but I do think that he is definitely addressing these issues in a different way than he normally does, just because it's an every week thing. And other teams from the conference are now trying to poach players out of his locker room.
Yeah, because, the Desmond Howard video went out. We talked about it and kind of feeling, because at some point when multiple people are talking about it, you're like, okay, is there real smoke here? And Sark shut that down. Someone
Find something else to talk about when you're taking your trash out.
Someone changed Desmond Howard's Wikipedia to say Joe Blow on it, which is great. I can't wait until game day's back in Austin.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be Joe Blow and garbage cans everywhere.
Oh, it's going to look like a Houston Astros game.
Yeah, that was a good pull by you. Yeah, I mean, the pressure's got to be insane for college coaches right now, and they make a lot of money to handle that pressure. But when you have media constantly talking about you taking another job or flirting with other jobs or possibly coming to a mutual parting of ways with the school you're at, if that's not actually happening, I imagine that is the stuff that sends you past the boiling point to where you do this.
And it's already been a frustrating season.
And Sarkisian it was reported Sarkisian addressed the team basically saying the same thing privately. And I know Sark doesn't really like to do that stuff, but it had gotten so out of control he felt he had to. I feel completely comforted that he's staying now. I don't know about you, but I don't think he would go on this tirade if he was planning on leaving.
Well, I think it's also, I think where his frustration a lot more than just Desmond Howard spewing out nonsense while he's taking his trash out like any other Joe Blow. I think what his issue is more so is he probably feels as though these rumors, I don't think he's even saying that Joe Blow, Desmond Howard didn't hear these rumors from somebody and actually probably a credible source like another athletic director or another head coach or another program or whatever that looks like, because I feel like he's getting frustrated because these other teams are trying to poach his players and they're trying to cause a rift in the locker room, or they're trying to cause whatever distraction is needed to say, oh, hey, Lane Kiffin's going to LSU. Sark is flirting with somebody. Y'all should probably head to LSU. It's going to be a pretty good time over there. Or Oklahoma or whatever. Insert SEC team, Big Ten team here. I think that's what he's getting frustrated more so than just Desmond Howard spewing off nonsense. It's more so probably the teams that are causing those rumors that then Desmond Howard reports on it. And then it's, okay, now you're just trying to steal my guys.
Yeah, which brings, get out your tinfoil cap. Who started these rumors?
Yep.
Is it a rival? Who's throwing things out there to try to recruit against you? And so for Sark to come out and just flat out say that other teams are going through back channels, going through the agents, and using this against his program, says a lot about probably how crazy it is. Because if he's saying that at a press conference, I can only imagine how crazy it is behind the scenes. And so obviously enough that he felt he had to address it, not only to the media, but to his team privately, because at some point the noise gets so loud you have to. And the noise had gotten that loud. And is funny because, after the Georgia game, everyone's wanted Sark's head from the Texas. I saw people say they'd leave. And then on Monday, all of a sudden it was, wait, don't actually leave. It was like, I get it. Emotional responses in the moment. I get it. Maybe let's cool it on the.
I just wanted to say the things that were going to hurt your feelings. I didn't actually mean it.
Yeah. And so maybe we all need to chill a little bit. Now, next year, if they're sitting there with 3 losses at this point, I think that'd be a different story.
And you saw the introduction clip that the receipts were had on Sark's introduction to being the head coach to Texas. Did you see that surfacing as well?
Yes, there's context to everything, though. That was in the greater scheme of he was talking about if it's year 5 and I'm still it was more of a if it's consistently happening thing.
Correct.
Not talking about off the backs of 2 conference championships appearances, 1 conference championship win, and 2 back-to-back semifinals appearances. The only team to make the last 2 playoffs.
Yeah.
So if they made it this year, they'd be the only team to make it 3 years in a row, which, by the way, they are not out of yet. The season is not over. I saw that clip floating around. I was like, what a twisting of taking a small clip out of context and using it to try to.
Welcome to the age of the internet. That is the world we live in right now, unfortunately.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're, Inside Texas had a really good article, and it was about how long does it take a coach to win a national title. And they kind of put some of the coaches that have won national titles recently in different buckets. You had coaches who took over a program that was already set, like a Ryan Day, like a Kirby Smart. Took Ryan Day until his, I think his 6th year or 5th year. And then it took Kirby Smart until his 6th year. Those were taking over programs that were in pretty good to really good spots whenever they took them over. And then you obviously
more
had
so than Georgia.
You had like a Nick Saban who won pretty early on. He won his 2nd or 3rd year. He was kind of like the exception. Nick Saban, though, had a year, I think it was at LSU. It was his 3rd or 4th year where they lost 4 or 5 games, got blown out by a bunch of the top SEC teams. Then they won the national championship the next year. And I think that was 2002 when that happened. But then you have the other bucket, which is coaches that took over a program that was essentially in shambles. And, like a Jim Harbaugh was the name I think is most representative to what Sark took over, the level of program, all those things.
Because Clemson, I would even put as a tier below Texas in terms of.
Yes, Clemson was the other name in there, and it took Dabo until his 10th year to do it. It took Harbaugh until his 9th. I believe it was his 9th. It might have been his 8th. It was 8th or 9th. I think it was 9th. And that to me is a better comparison. And so it takes a while. It took Kirby Smart hadn't won a title at this point in his career, and he took over a program in a much better spot than what Sark took over Texas. And so we've talked about that point on this podcast multiple times. It was nice to see it written out in a nice form and kind of bringing up the Harbaugh, bringing up Dabo Swinney. I don't think Swinney's a great comparison because Clemson isn't as big of a program as a Michigan or a Texas. So that's why I think the Harbaugh is probably the best. And Michigan fans wanted Harbaugh gone from year 4 to year 9.
Because guess what? He couldn't beat Ohio State. At least Sark can beat OU. He can beat A&M. We've seen it. At least we've got the rivalries where he's got the number.
And I saw another really good point, which was if Mac Brown in 2002, if it was 2022 or 2025, at the point where Mac Brown was in his career in 2002, he would have been fired at Texas without a
Yeah,
doubt because of
we would have
social
never
media.
gotten.
Because he was 0-5 or 0-6 against OSU. And even though the program was getting better, they were recruiting better than they had done in a long time, and they just couldn't get over that last hump that was OU. At that point, you had to get over the hump to even get a chance at a national title.
Yeah.
A lot of Texas people want him fired. The noise just wasn't as loud because you didn't have social media. You didn't have all this stuff that you have now. Mac Brown would have never done what he did. It took him until Mac Brown's a great comparison for comparing to Sark because Mac Brown didn't win it until year 8 or 9, something like that. So when you look at it, really Sark's, despite this year being disappointing, it's disappointing. This isn't an excuse to say this year's not disappointing. It's all just to say, in the overall grand scheme of things, Texas is still on track. It's still okay.
Yeah.
The
Zoom out
fact
a
that
little
this
bit.
is a bad year, let's not forget, this would have been a perfectly good year 5 years ago.
It would have been a great year, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, this was like one of Herman's best seasons. Like you beat OU, but you lose to the other top dog, and that was in the Big 12, not the SEC. Not a year where you play, damn near half your schedule's top 10 teams.
The best Herman ever did was a 10-win season with a capping it off with the 10th win being against Georgia in a bowl game in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
It was a 9-win regular season, by the way, and that was the best that Herman ever did.
Oh, that was the Texas's back year.
Yeah.
That was a 9-win regular season, and you beat a Georgia team who was sitting several players for the bowl game. Like how things change, and that's changed because of Sarkisian. And does Sarkisian need to learn some lessons from this year? Does he need to make some changes? And does he need to evolve himself as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, as all of the above, a GM, everything? Yes. It's not giving excuses or saying he didn't have screw-ups that have led to this year.
That's also not to say that he's not capable of doing all of those things.
Correct. And firing him right now or agreeing to let him leave would be the dumbest thing this program could do.
And Chris Delconte is anything but dumb. He typically always makes the right decision. I've agreed with just about every hire he's ever made, and he's gotten every athletic program at least competing for a national championship, essentially in every single sport. So kudos to that. Again, I think that this conversation is going to be continued. Jake, I want to hit underdog real quick. But before we do that, just real briefly, James Franklin of Virginia Tech, love the hire.
That is such a great. Oh, I did see a funny thing. It was showing the Franklin holding the Virginia Tech flag at midfield. It's like, imagine showing this to someone in August when Penn State was ranked 2 and the most popular pick to go to the national title. Yeah. It was like how crazy things change in the college football world.
Not a real picture, not a real post.
And supposedly he picked them over Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And
Arkansas
to
fans
me,
were a little.
That is a very smart decision by James Franklin. What is the more guaranteed route to competing for the playoffs and national titles? Yeah. It is Virginia Tech, actually, because the ACC.
1,000%. But also, his recruiting portal is in that area of the country, in the Pennsylvania northeast portion of the country. It's not down south. He's not going to pull a Brian Kelly of just, more money, bigger conference, bigger name recognition, where he knows he's going to have more success to build his program at Virginia Tech. And it's not like the donors aren't there at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got money. If Virginia has money, Virginia Tech has money. And so they'll be able to build something pretty good there at Virginia Tech, in my opinion. I think, again, he's familiar with the area. He doesn't have to move very far to be in that culture, that geographical location of getting
the recruiting pipeline,
the recruiting pipeline, all that. He's already familiar with it. So, kudos to him.
In Virginia Tech,
with his
is a program
you and I have wanted Virginia Tech to be good again. But just real quick on his contract, he actually took, what was it? Less money. He took more money to go to Virginia Tech and had a lesser payout from Penn State kind of ending things on decent terms with Penn State and not completely screwing them over.
He should have screwed him over.
He should have.
He should have.
He didn't.
They dumped him the second he had a bad season. Like the second.
Oh,
now,
they were
I'm not
waiting
saying,
for it.
Now, I'm not saying, I get the frustrations from Penn State. At the same time, I don't think they're ever going to get over the hump of, I think that's a program issue, not a coach issue. But I would have loved if he just took $1 million a year. It's just like, no, you're going to pay me my money.
Mm-hmm.
Just rounders it. Pay this man his money.
Pay this man his money.
But it's a great fit, and I hope this means Virginia Tech will be a school, because they're so fun when they're good with that environment.
I'd love to see them be a top 15 team on an annual basis.
Yeah, the environment would be unbelievable. Also, it'd be good for the ACC. That's a big thing the ACC is missing. SMU is going to keep getting better because they have money just out the wazoo. You have Miami that's been consistently at least good for a little while now.
Clemson will find their way back.
Clemson, you have to imagine they'll find their way back.
I don't think to like winning 4 national championships in a span of, or winning 2 national championships in the span of 4 years. I don't think they'll be that
but back to a playoff consistent competitor, and then
competitor to win the conference.
You have to imagine Florida State's only going to be down for so long. So the ACC if Virginia Tech comes back and some of these other programs that are down this year that makes the ACC just horrible this year come back, the ACC could be back to being a pretty good conference.
Yeah, and if Notre Dame just joined the ACC, then it would be peachy keen.
Yeah, they won't do that because then they couldn't get into the playoffs with 2 losses, having beaten no one.
After losing to an ACC team in Miami.
Yeah, after losing to and getting to be ranked above them with the same amount of losses.
Yeah, that would never happen if they were actually in that.
The committee has made it to where there's just absolutely zero incentive for Notre Dame to join a conference.
No, yeah, they've solidified their fate. All right, let's go ahead and hear from Underdog. We have our final all-in Horns entry. You're going to want to stay tuned.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games. 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
All right, Jake, here we go. Here is the Underdog All-In Horns entry of the week. And earlier this week, we talked about Drake May, higher than it was when we talked about it, higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think people hit on that so quickly that they went ahead and made the adjustment like 24 hours later, and they bumped it up to 2.5 passing touchdowns. Well, guess what? They're still playing Cincinnati, and I'm still betting on Drake May to get over 2.5 passing touchdowns. I do think 3 is probably that number. So got Drake May with 3 passing touchdowns, and I've got John Mateer with at least 1 rushing or receiving touchdown as they take on Missouri this week.
Yeah, we kind of collaborated a lot of these this week, kind of taking a different approach. I guess my 2 technical picks are Arch Manning higher than 265.5 passing yards against
I
Arkansas.
have a feeling that whenever we also discussed that was at 258. So I think that also bumped up a little bit.
It did. I don't love that. I can just picture the stat line at 265. Yeah.
I can see it at 260 where it would have gone over the 258 mark, but it's obviously lower than the 265.
Yeah, whatever happened. Oh, and I'm just now entering this in. And George Pickens is now at 66.5.
Okay.
So if it goes to 66, I'm gonna be sick. But
I got it at 65.
Yeah, we got George Pickens higher than 65.5 receiving yards. Feel like he's becoming almost option one over Lamb.
Jake,
but
so here was the Pickens thing. The reason why I liked it was I went through Pickens' game by game yardage. He's gone under or lower than 65 yards in 2 games this season. Every other game he's gone higher than 65. And the only other game where he went lower was week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And you can kind of just be like, yeah, well, that was his first game as a Cowboy, weird setting, didn't really know what the team was. Now that he and Dak have a chemistry, I think that's almost I don't want to say guaranteed. You never want to say guaranteed, but I like
please
that.
Please do not say guaranteed with how our history has been.
No, not with our Longhorns injuries. No, absolutely not. But I do like 65.5. I do like that a lot.
Yeah, I like this card. I feel like this can hopefully be the end of our misery. We're just the funny thing is, again, we're not doing bad on our personal ones that we do. We typically win at least a couple a week, but the Longhorns one, we have been failing the audience, and so hopefully this is the one to turn it around.
Yeah, we're doing it for the people this week. All right. Jake, let's go ahead, wrap it up, and get into our picks and previews for the
one thing I did want to say before we did previews, just 2 seconds. Big time recruit for Texas women's basketball.
That's right.
In Addison Bjorn, a 5-star shooting guard. Texas women's basketball, #1 recruiting class in the country right now.
Yep.
So big time stuff going on for Schaefer and the Lady Horns, and they have a really big game coming up. It's their next game. It's on the 26th, which is Wednesday, I think right before Thanksgiving, against #3 UCLA. So #4 Texas against #3 UCLA. Right. That'll be a great measuring stick game to see where Texas is at this point in the season.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Jake. Appreciate it. All right. This is the worst week of games. It's the worst week every single year. I don't know if it always falls on week 13, but every year we have this week at the end of the season. And a lot of it is the SEC's fault for scheduling the games the way they schedule them. Like Georgia's done with conference play. Like Georgia finished their conference play against Texas last week. But we'll go through the best ones that we could find, and we'll hit on them briefly, and then we'll finish it up with Arkansas at Texas. Okay, number 22, Mizzou at number 8, OU. OU 7.5-point favorites over Mizzou. Over under sitting at 41.5. Jake, your thoughts?
Sorry, I was looking at which game was it? I was looking up where game day was this week.
Mizzou at OU.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because that's the only game worth anything early on. I just think there's no way Mizzou is competitive in this game. I think I don't see them scoring more than like 3 to 10 points. You're going in with a freshman quarterback that was your 3rd string quarterback to start the season. You're on the road and you're going against one of the best defenses. And it's a very similar feel to how I felt about the Michigan game going into the OU. So I think OU covers. I probably like the under. I do think Mizzou is a pretty good defense. I don't think OU's just going to light up the scoreboard. And I think they're going to do most of the scoring in this game.
I agree with everything you said. I think I would take the OU spread, and I also think I would take the under in this game. And I feel the same exact way you feel about this game is how I feel about it. All right, Jake, the other game going on, and I think that, hey, this is big in terms of playoff implications, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Washington State at James Madison. James Madison is 13.5-point favorites. Washington State has played pretty competitively against some opponents. Now, they don't have a great record, but I mean, they took Ole Miss down to the wire. They only lost by 3 points to Ole Miss. Over under is set at 42 and a half for this game. I'm actually going to take Washington State to cover, but I've got James Madison to win the game outright. Over under, I actually think it's going to go over the 42 and a half mark.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I think that's a lot of points for a Washington State team that's been pretty competitive. I do think I could see James Madison covering just because this feels like their chance to make a statement. I know Washington State's not good this year. It's the name. And the name matters whenever you have people who don't watch the games. So this is James Madison's chance to kind of, make a statement to try to be in the playoff.
If James Madison wins by 21, they're going to be a high favorite for the popularity vote to be like, look, they just beat Washington State.
Well, why wouldn't they be over Tulane at that point? Tulane got their doors blown off by UTSA. Like, yeah. I think they'd have I think they already do have a good argument. I like James Madison to win. I think I like Washington State to cover, though.
Yep. All right, Jake, number 15, USC at number 7, Oregon. Oregon, 10.5 point favorites. Over under set at 59.5.
That's a big over under. I still think I like it.
I like the under in this game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I probably won't touch the over under because betting the unders for losers. But I think at 10.5, I like USC to cover. I think I could see this. Their defense is so bad.
Their defense is really bad, and Oregon's defense is actually pretty good. I think that Oregon, I think this is a matchup nightmare for USC personally. I just think that USC's offense isn't good enough to score consistently against Oregon's defense, and Oregon's offense is good enough to be able to put points on the board against USC. And once they get a 2, maybe even 3 possession lead in this game, they're just going to be able to run the clock out and just dominate this game. I don't know if I can see this game being ultra competitive for USC.
I'm just gonna go with my gut feel that USC covers this big point spread. That was my first thought when I saw the point spread. I'm gonna roll with it. I could definitely see this being a blowout for Oregon, but I have not been impressed by Oregon in a single game I've watched outside of, at the time, Penn State. Which turns out to not be impressive at all.
And their offense has something not quite right with it, which I think USC can make a couple of stops. That's why I like the under. It's because I think Oregon's offense isn't just great enough to just be like, we're going to put up 40 on you. But USC's defense is that bad. But Oregon's defense is good enough to stop USC to only scoring, 17 to 20 points in this game.
Yeah, this is the biggest game in the Lincoln Riley era. If they win this, they are in the playoffs, probably.
They're probably pushing an 11 seed at the very least. Kentucky at Vanderbilt, number 14, Vanderbilt, 9.5 point spread for Vandy, over under set at 52.5.
Down to 8.5 now.
Oh, wow.
Surprised to see that going down.
That was earlier today. That was hours ago that I looked at that.
Yeah. No, already put down. And it's because Kentucky's been on a little bit of a roll after the Texas and Tennessee law. I mean, they lost to Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee in back-to-back game. Crazy. Look at A&M's schedule, and then look at what Kentucky had to go through. And Vanderbilt's kind of been reeling a little bit. That said, it's at Vandy. I just think they're going to win this game by probably 10 points, 14 points, around that. So I like Vanderbilt to cover. I'm surprised that line whenever I see a line shift like that, it worries me. Like, some people know some stuff I don't know, but my gut feeling is that, Texas is going to, because it actually opened at 10.5.
And now it's down to 8.5.
Man, I'm going to roll with that. It's gone too far, and that in fact, I might try to grab it now before it maybe bounces back and meets in the middle at 9.5. And I'm going to say Vanderbilt covers.
All right. I'm gonna say Kentucky covers this game, Jig. I think they keep it within a touchdown game, and I'm gonna nail that under over and over and over again. I think these two teams' defenses are good enough to just hold one another to about a. I think that's gonna be like a 17-20 type game, like it max. Like that's gonna be the highest either one of these two teams is gonna go. So, Jake, big ACC game. Both one loss in the conference. Pitt, who didn't care if they lost to Notre Dame by 100, lost all respect to them. At number 16, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, 2.5-point favorites over Pitt. Over under set at 62.5. You have to bet the over in this game because that's just too much fun not to. But I've got Georgia Tech winning this game, and I'll take the spread because it's basically a score spread. So I'll take them to at least win by a field goal.
Yeah, I got to roll with Georgia Tech. They were my preseason. I had Clemson, Georgia Tech ACC title game. So I got to. The Clemson died a long time ago. I got to roll with Georgia Tech because that was my
Yeah.
I said it in the offseason, and they haven't looked as good as I thought they had looked. But at the end of the day, they're still 9-1,
They're
6-1 in ACC play. It's at Georgia Tech. I think that line is light as well.
And
so I like
I've
Georgia.
lost all respect for the Pitt football program.
Yeah,
as
I
long
have
as
no
that head
respect
coach-
for their program until they fire their head coach.
Yeah, I will never pick them to win another game until they fire their head coach. All right, number 20, Tennessee. They are road favorites, 4.5 points over Florida. Over under set at 57. Jake, they're just begging us to bet unders in this week, and at least in my opinion, I think that's a really high number for a Florida defense who still is playing with a little bit of purpose out there.
Yeah, I mean it's only a 4.5-point spread, and
And they think Florida's offense is
and
gonna be able to
Florida's
do that?
3-7.
Yeah,
Like that tells you what Vegas, and Vegas is always right, thinks about Florida's talent. The fact that this is only a 4.5-point spread. I agree with you on the under. Tennessee, man, they never win in Gainesville.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Florida outright.
Ooh.
They
I
got
like
to
it,
prove to
Jake.
me they can win there, just like Texas has to prove to me they can beat Georgia before I ever pick them to beat Georgia. I said that before the season. Obviously, I'm not going to change that after they just lost them again. I can't remember the last time I saw Tennessee win at Florida, and I'm going to say that they don't again because I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. I'll take Tennessee to win this game. I'm definitely gonna just hammer the under. Man, 4.5. If in terms of a spread, I almost want to take Florida to cover that 4.5-point spread and just say it's going to be a field goal game. But the rarity of that happening, I'm going to go ahead and take Tennessee with that 4.5 points. Just think they win by at least a touchdown. But I don't think it's going to be double digits or anything like that. So I don't hate that 4.5 points. I just think Tennessee's going to win this one. All right, Jake, if Cincinnati didn't completely crap the bed the last 2 weeks, this would have been a huge game for the Big 12. But Cincinnati not holding up their end of the bargain. Number 11, BYU, 2.5-point favorites at Cincinnati. Over under set at 54.5. Your thoughts?
I want BYU to lose this game. We
Same.
as Texas fans, because even if you don't think Texas is a playoff team, you're not a fan if you're not rooting for them to be in it.
I'll take a road playoff game any day of the week.
And yeah, you need BYU is one of the top teams. If BYU, a 3-loss Texas team would get in over a 2-loss BYU team, I think the committee has pretty much shown that to be
100
true.
times out of 100, that's gonna happen.
Especially when you consider Texas only one spot behind a 1-loss Georgia Tech team. By the way, we actually technically want Georgia Tech to lose that game. I just don't think. I think Cincinnati's playing their worst football of the year right now. They've lost 2 games in a row. They were kind of sitting there right and now they're reeling. They get him at home. Maybe this is where they bounce back. And I can't even watch BYU play because of their quarterback being number 45 or whatever it is.
48 or 50.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think BYU wins. I really want to pick Cincinnati, but that's not picking with my brain or my actual thoughts on the game. That's just
Yeah.
picking with my wants.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say BYU wins and obviously covers with it only at 2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take. I'll take BYU as well. Over under. I'll actually take the over. Let's have a little fun with it. All right, Jake. Prediction of the week: Arkansas at number 17, Texas. Texas 8.5-point favorites. Over under set at 57.5. I'll take the lead on this one. And my first prediction is that Arch Manning goes higher than 200 and what was it? 265 yards. I think he throws for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he also rushes for a touchdown as well, for a total of 4 touchdowns from Arch Manning. I think Arkansas is going to be able to score at will in this game. I think that they're going to put up 30 points. I'm going to say Texas 38, Arkansas 32.
Yeah, I like Arkansas to cover. I think that line's pretty high when Arkansas has been competitive against pretty much everyone. I like the over in this game. I think Arkansas is going to have their way with this Texas defense, especially with Anthony Hill out. I'm going to say Texas wins 41-38.
Ooh,
I got
like
it.
it.
This defense has got to prove something to me. Because
I agree.
I started doubting them before a lot of people did, and all they've done is prove me right. So I'm going to keep doubting them because I don't care that they played decent after they gave up the 2 touchdowns to start against Georgia. I thought Georgia got very, very conservative with that lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Texas scored, Georgia immediately
Turned it back on.
made light work of the, and I don't think that's a coincidence it happened that way. So yeah, I don't trust this Texas defense at all, and I haven't trusted them really since the Florida game. Unless they're playing a bad offense. I do think they dominate bad offenses, but when they play good offenses, and Arkansas is arguably the best offense they played, I'd say Georgia's probably the best offense. Arkansas is a close second when it comes to just a pure offense. I think they can easily put up more than Georgia put up because they're going to have to, because I do think Texas will be able to score points.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it. Fans going to the game, you're in for a fun one. If me or Jake's prediction ends up being somewhat accurate, y'all are going to be in for a fun ride there in Austin. All right, that's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.